Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I don't know why I raise my eyes up like that every time. Listen, so I'm not going to be very long, but I was moved to address this idea of trust. It's a commonly used word, and it is a word that is so essential to so much of the interpersonal relationships that we have. But a lot of times people don't realize what they're talking about for themselves, right? There's a universal understanding of trust, but it's so nuanced. So, who am I? Dr. Shanae here at the Collective Wellness Institute. One of the things that I get to do is to work alongside of couples. And unfortunately, we've seen an increase of couples who are navigating some level of trust breaching. Um, Oftentimes, that is commonly done in the form of infidelity, but it's not the only way that trust can be breached in a union. And so I have begun to educate my clients about trust because oftentimes when trust is broken, I will ask, what do you need your partner to do to rebuild trust with you? And oftentimes people don't understand. They don't really know. Outside of the give me your location, let me look at your contacts, your text messages, check your phone, those kinds of things. But trust is so much more than that. And those examples are really just tests to see if what one's mate says one's mate is doing. And if you've watched enough drama TV, there are ways around that too. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time addressing the issue of trust. And I'm going to be doing so for the entire month of March. Yep, the entire month of March. Happy Women's History and all the other great things that we address during this month. But this month, I am going to talk about trust. And so I want to share an image that I share with my clients. And I'm going to be talking about this very image um, throughout the month of March. We have created a tool for the conversation of trust. And on the tool, we address 12 essential elements to building trust. Today, I'm only going to cover two, the top two: integrity, understand integrity and reliability. Got tongue tied for a second. But I will come back each Friday and address the other items. Um, I think the most commonly agreed upon element of trust for almost everyone is the presence of honesty. And so, if you noted on the handout, the um, term honesty is also paired with integrity. It's important to understand that they are connected, but they are not the same thing. Oftentimes, we can interchange those words, and they're not necessarily the same. What do I mean by that? Someone could be intending to be honest when they say they're going to make a commitment, right? I'm committing to meet you at 4 o'clock um, on Thursday. And if for some reason something happens on Thursday that impedes their ability to show up on Thursday, then they weren't lying. They were planning on being there, but something came up. Now, if there is a pattern of someone's ability to execute what they have said, what they have vocalized, their integrity could come into question. What does that mean? It could mean that they don't manage their time well. It could mean that they don't overcome obstacles well. It could mean that their life is crisis oriented. Um, It could mean that they're forgetful. There are a number of things that could impact someone's ability to deliver on what they said. Someone's ability to deliver on what they said does not, someone's inability to deliver on what they said does not necessitate that they are being dishonest. And so sometimes we will say, oh, that person's a liar or whatever the case may be, but integrity is more than just being honest or telling the truth. Another area of integrity could be the manner in which people govern their lives. This is what we say in our home, in the Simmons household: what you do when no one is looking. Do you live your life in a way that is consistent with what you vocalize as your value system? And or do you live your life in a way that is consistent with the expectations of the people you do life with? What do I mean? For parents, can you rely on the fact that your children will do what you want them to do when you're not looking? There's a really cute reel out there, and I think I shared it the other day, of a little boy whose mom says, I'm going to let you say whatever bad words you want to say. And she's leaving the room and she promises him that he will not get in any trouble if he uses any bad words, and he's on tape. And so she leaves the room and she gives him some time, and he waits and he waits and he waits and he waits for her to come back. And when she comes back, she asks, like, did you say any bad words? And he's like, no, I didn't say any bad words. And the reason why he didn't say any bad words is because he has been taught the fear of the Lord, and there's some things around his faith that impeded him from doing so. And so he says to his mom, like, that would not please God, and I don't see the need to do that, right? So what he did when no one was looking, right? Or what he did when even given permission to do, that's a different level, to do something that is inconsistent with the way that he has been raised to live. And so his integrity was pretty doggone powerful for a young boy that age. I don't even think he was more than 8 years old, maybe even 6. Um, and so for those of us who are adults, that might mean if you are at the self checkout and you forget to ring up, you know, something at the bottom of your cart, do you go back into the checkout and ring it, or you just look at God, look what He did? I will say that I've been guilty of not wanting to go all the way back, and then there have been times when I've just been incredibly getting guilted to go back in and do what is the right thing. Uh, in our home years ago, when our children were young, if I discovered that they stole something from the store that they weren't supposed to, I would take them back. I am quite the rule follower. If you live life with me, it could be a little nauseating. But I'm the rule follower. I believe in following the rules. So I just wanted to take a moment to distinguish between honesty and integrity, because while they are connected, they're not necessarily the same. What you do in the dark, what you do when no one's looking, what you do when you have the opportunity to do wrong, and how honest are you? How honest are you with yourself? How honest are you with others? I know as a clinician, if you are not honest enough with yourself, if it seems that you are deceiving yourself, I'm not inclined to do a whole lot with you, um, just because I don't do well in dishonesty. And if you're not open and not ready to hear truths that may not feel good, then we probably need a little space. That's just me. Um, I'm not too far from doing things wrong, and I want people to tell me if I am, and I want to be able to get that right. So if I'm not able to return that favor with the people that I fellowship with or spend time with, then it doesn't really feel good to me. I want to be in community with people who want to do things the right way. And so um, the other term that I wanted to address today is reliability. Being able to be relied upon, right? There are people who have great intentions, there are people who are incredibly honest, and people who um, they have a heart to do well and to do well by you. Um, but they may not necessarily be reliable. Again, that can be for reasons outside of their perceived control. But being reliable is absolutely essential to helping people feel comfortable enough to trust. If you say you're going to pick my child up and I need you to pick my child up at 3 after school, but there has been a pattern where you've agreed and you haven't been able to do it, my child finds themselves in the principal's office waiting for me to come after getting a call. You're not showing up as reliable, and therefore I'm not certain that I can trust your word. Um, and that's not a measure of being dishonest, but it is a measure of not being trustworthy. So um, that is what I'm going to cover today. In our next section, I will cover some other things. Open communication and accountability are up next. Why am I doing this? I realize not everybody's going to come to counseling. Not everyone's going to come into therapy. And this is streaming on my personal page. So that means there are people who know me personally, and or may think they know me. But the things that I'm going to talk about are very, very important to who I am as an individual and as a clinician, as a minister of the gospel, and as a family friend and family member. These things are incredibly important to me. And if I deem that the way an individual conducts themselves doesn't perpetuate trust for me, then I keep a little distance. That's take it how you want to. It's the way that I've chosen to manage my own energy expenditure. And so I felt it very appropriate to talk about this because I'm seeing an increase of challenges in our community with folks having trust. And know this trust is not only important in the intimate relationship capacity, trust is built anywhere we do life with other people. We have to trust our colleagues. We have to trust our family members. We have to trust our community members, right? We need to trust. Well, do we? That's a completely different conversation. Trust is a natural component of doing life with people. So, because I've seen so many people injured because of trusting too freely, not trusting at all, trusting at the wrong times. Um, I think it's important for us to have this conversation. So I am super excited to get an opportunity to talk to you guys once again. Once again, I'm going to get back to work and I will be back next week with the next two items, maybe three, but definitely two: open communication and accountability. It's important that we unpack some of these things so that we can be more intentional about how we do relationship. And if nothing else, evaluate yourself. Are you honest? Do you keep your word? Are you reliable? Let's talk about that. Or better yet, let's think about that. So that is it for today. Next week, March the 8th, I'll be back. I may or may not be live, but I will be back. And we will talk about the next components of trust building. Y'all have a great weekend and take care.